This is Paul Turner, the immigration barrister at Imperium Chambers. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you have an immigration problem of any sort, please get in touch with me. Well, it's a very momentous day as Boris Johnson has finally decided to resign, which begs the question, given the fact that his government has pretty much collapsed, is what are the chances of there finally being an amnesty or a new legacy scheme for undocumented migrants? I've campaigned and produced many videos on this, and it led in part, I would like to hope, to debate in Parliament. I've gone silent on this at the moment because things have been quite hostile towards migrants. But the big news is that the Boris Johnson has announced his resignation as his government has fallen apart around his ears. One of the key planks of this government was through his Secretary of State for the Home Department, Priti Patel, who, while she remains Secretary of State, must be looking over her shoulder for supporting Boris to the bitter end, that migrants must be demonised and steps taken against them. It's worth remembering at this point a few of her crazy ideas, such as spending thousands on training border force guards to put people's lives at risk in the Channel by dashing around on jet skis. From that to her illegal locking up of migrants in substandard accommodation where they got COVID. Through to her allegations that she was a bully and secret meetings with foreign governments. Of course, a big question mark hangs over the stalled Rwandan plan. And this is one of the key planks of the government's policy. So if we strip away all the ridiculous and often illegal ideas and accept that the Rwanda plan is pretty much dead at the moment, now is the time for a new government to be formed. Indeed, it has to be formed. One of the first tasks for the new government and the Prime Minister ought to be fixing the broken asylum system, a system that Boris and Priti presided over as it fell apart. The only logical way out of this, rather than more right-wing, rabid, racist sort of nonsense, is to have an amnesty or a legacy scheme to deal with the million or so people that are in the United Kingdom without documentation and are being harassed and hassled by the hostile environment. Then, having dealt with the backlog and dealt with it humanely, then resource the Home Office properly so that they can get rid of the 70,000 asylum seekers and the backlog that's there. It's worth noting that 3/4 of the asylum seekers are actually genuine refugees. So by delaying them for 2 or 3 years, and I've had cases delayed longer, you're keeping people that are entitled to status in the United Kingdom subject pretty much to the hostile environment and living a life at the periphery of society. And then on top of that, because of the unfortunate war in Ukraine, there's also been a huge backlog in processing applications, whether that be passports, through driving licence, through visa applications, because the Home Office is so woefully understaffed or not adequately managed, or has been managed by Priti Patel, that all the concentration, all hands to the pumps have been to the Ukrainians, which is justifiable. But the government needs to make more resources or make them available to the Home Office so that the Home Office can do its basic job. So therefore, if there was ever a time to revisit and properly consider a targeted amnesty and deal with it properly, I would say it's now. As a side issue, I would not say that Boris was lying when he said that he was in favour of an amnesty about 6 times, especially when he was running for election in a multi-ethnic area. But given that he did nothing about it, instead presided over Priti Patel's sort of crypto-racist policies, it does rather fit with his character, which cannot really be seen as being a character that the words integrity, honesty, decency seem to apply. Anyway, the reason for this video is Boris is going. Whether Priti stays, if she does, that will be somewhat strange. And therefore, I pray that the new government does actually look at the Home Office and takes a wider and more humane approach to it. And the starting point is obviously going to be dealing with the million or so people that are in this country who could benefit from documents, not only for them, but for their families. Thank you for watching this video. As I say, we are in very strange times, but it does give us the opportunity for moving on from the right-wing rhetoric issued by Priti Patel and endorsed by Boris Johnson. Thank you again. This is Paul Turner, the immigration barrister at Imperium Chambers.